Hi, we'll be talking about Six of Crows by Leah Bardugo, and it is the first book in the series. I decided to do a podcast review on Six of Crows because I binge watched Shadow and Bone, and I decided I was going to do a. I really loved it, and I decided I was going to read the books, and I was told to start with Six of Crows. So we'll be doing a review on all the books, but I've read Six of Crows, so we'll start with Six of Crows. So Six of Crows is basically about a thieving crew, part of a gang called the Dregs in Ketterdam that were hired by a wealthy merchant, Jan van Eyck, to go to Fierda and rescue a scientist called Bo Yubayo, because this scientist created a drug that could enhance the gifts of any Grisha exponentially while also using up the life force of said Grisha. And the merchant wanted the scientist. So Kaz is the second in command of the Dregs and he's the leader of the crew. Then we have Inej. Inej is extremely close to Kaz. Not close like close per se, but she's close to Kaz. She's also known as the Wraith because she's an assassin and she is able to. She has this thing where she can just. You don't know she's there, but she's there. You know, she walks very quietly, so you wouldn't know she's there even when she's there. And then in the crew, we also had Nina. Nina is a Grisha and a Heartrender, and she was helping Kaz and Inej because she wanted to free Matthias. Matthias is a Fierdan. Who they needed because he was the only one with a very good idea of how to get Yubayo out of the ice court in Fierda. And we also have Jesper. Jesper is a sharpshooter, and yeah, you would need people like that on your team anyway. So Kaz gets Inej, Nina, Matthias, and Jesper, and he also gets Wyland to go along with them. Wyland is the son of Jan van Eyck, but he's not favored at home, so Kaz takes him along as insurance against Van Eyck. Anyway, so Kaz is like the second in command to the Dregs. The first in command is Per Haskell, but Per Haskell doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things because Kaz is the major person. And the story is focused on Kaz, Inej, Nina, Matthias, Jesper, and Wyland. And it tells the story from each of them's point of view. And throughout them leaving Ketterdam to go on this adventure to get Yubayo out of the ice court in Fierda and coming back with him, you could literally tell from each of them's the story like focused on each of them's point of view and how the journey progressed. And it was so beautifully written, and I think this is something that I think a lot of authors should try, like writing from each character's point of view. It says it helps you get involved and very very interested in the storyline. So I think major points I think of the book would be us finding out that he has feelings for Inej. Inej might reciprocate those feelings. She does reciprocate those feelings, but we'll find out at the end of the book, not before. So, and then there's Matthias and Helva, and their story too is also quite Matthias and Nina, and their story too is also quite like very wonderful in its way because it tells you how people can transcend this hatred for another tribe of people, like this racism, this bigotry, how people can transcend it, how love can pass all those bounds. And it just goes to tell you that there are literally a lot of people who are probably, I think the storylines would resonate with a lot of people depending on whichever situation you're in anyway, whether it be Inej and Kaz or Nina and Matthias, I think it would resonate with whichever one of them, whichever situation you find yourself inside. Anyway, so they were supposed to go and get Bo Bayo, the scientist from Fieber, and it was very, very hard to do, but they did it anyway. They got him out and then they brought him back. They not him per se, because he died, but by the time they would get to the court, they realized he was dead. And it was only the son, and the son had an idea of how to create said drug, and they were like, we cannot leave this guy here, so they took him along with them. And all of this, literally, I think the major points of this book would be the major point would be them getting to the ice courts. Getting into the ice court, very, very hard to do. One of my favorite points, and which just showcases how much or how amazing Inej can be, is the fact that she scaled a 6-story incinerator that was still warm. And she scaled it with just her knives and her feet. And it was so bad that her feet literally fused with the soles of her shoes. Oh my God, it was so sad. Like, but they were able to get it out, and she was able to heal. Nina was able to heal her, but oh my God, it was so. I felt so very, very bad for Inej, but she did it, and then she was able to rescue the others that were down by throwing down a rope to them to like climb up. I think that's a feat that is not normally done anyway. So I was really, 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 I was impressed. She impressed me in Shadow and Bone, the drama series, but the book, Inej is she's top notch. Nina also is another amazing person. I think all the women in this book they were so fucking amazing. Nina also, she took the Joda Parent when they were in a tight spot to rescue the entire team, and then her facing her withdrawal symptoms with this stoic strength. And Nina was also an amazing person. I really loved Nina and Inej. They really, really, they are the type of girls that you just know that they don't need a man to take care of them. They can take care of themselves. Another major point is us finding out that Jesper's little gambling problem could have cost them the entire job in the first instance. And Kaz always felt angry at Jesper because of it. But you don't find out that one towards the end of the book. And Van Eyck did double cross them. Van Eyck ended up double crossing them because they bring back Kwe, the son of Bayo, right? They bring him back, and they're like, okay, he can do what the father does. And then Van Eyck is like, I'm not giving you any money or anything, kill them off and everything. And the only reason they were not able to kill them off is because Kaz anticipated the fact that Van Eyck might actually try to kill them, and so he did not bring out the real Kwe. He had Nina Taylor Wylan, who was their bombs expert, to look like Kwe. So when Van Eyck was like, okay, that's Kwe, you understand? That's Kwe, he was like, okay, he's going to kill them off. Kaz was like, you have wrong Kwe anyway, so you cannot kill us off. And then Van Eyck was like, okay. And this is where you realize that that Kaz has serious feelings for Inej, because even though there's literally parts of the book where it shows, like when he asks her to stay with him in Ketterdam, and when she nearly dies at the beginning of the book and he comes to rescue her and all of that, you could really, really tell that he was very, very interested in her and all of that, and really, really likes her and is in love with her. The biggest mistake he made was, instead of trusting Inej to fight her battles and answer for herself, he decided he was going to protect her in that particular moment. And that was all Vanek needed to know, that if he wanted to break Krasbreker, he needed to break Inej. So he kidnapped Inej. That's where Six of Crows ends. Right? Where he kidnaps Inej and Kaz decides, okay, he's going after Inej and all of that. But basically, I think the most important things you take away from this book is how interesting it is and how each of these characters can stand on their own. And they all have very deep stories that would get to you in several ways. Stories that would make you think, stories that would make you feel. Leah Bardugo is a very wonderful writer. I keep saying this, but she is a very, very wonderful writer. It's so fucking amazing, like the way she writes. I really, really love that. Okay, I'll give you some excerpts from the book to hook you a bit. Okay, this was a scene between Nina and Matthias, and let me read it out to you. It goes, a laugh shook him. It definitely the cell. Then he cupped her face in his hands, and he said, I have been made to protect you. Only in death will I be kept from this oath. And that was Matthias's promise to Nina. Like, if you ever needed anything a man could ever tell you in this world, it would be that particular line. Oh my God, like, I don't think a man could ever tell me that line and I would not feel some kind of way. I would totally feel some kind of way, because what do you mean you would protect me? You were meant to protect me. Like, oh God. Anyway, this is why I said you need to read the book, because scenes like that. Wow. Anyway, another scene between Inej and Kaz, right? He's like, stay in Ketterdam, stay with me. And she looks at him and she's like, what would be the point? And he's like, I want you to stay. I want you. And she's like, how will you have me, Kaz? How will you have me? Fully clothed, gloves on, your head turned away so our lips can never touch. And then she goes, I will have you without armor, Kazbreker, or I will not have you at all. And if you needed any more reason to know how amazing this book is, like, that is all the reason you need to know how interesting this book is for you to want to read it. It's a book you would really, really love, and I hope you check it out. It's really, really amazing. I really, 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 really enjoyed reading it. Like, every step of the way, I was both worried. There were times when I was worried for them. There was times when I was like, oh yes, they did it. And there were times I was like, oh. And there were times when these people would shake my heart with the words they would use. And because if Matthias told me, or if a man told me what Matthias told Nina, I'd be like, no way. I can't believe somebody's telling me this. Anyway, the book is very, very, very wonderful, and I think it's something you would need to check out. Six of Crows by Leah Bardugo, and we would get into the next book next week, hopefully. Hopefully, maybe before then, but hopefully next week we should be able to get into the next book. So let's check out Six of Crows by Leah Bardugo before then. It's very, very, very amazing. You totally love it, I'm assuring you. And the fact that it was even written from each character's point of view at every stage of their journey just lets you know how good the writer is. And it's really, really wonderful. Very interesting, very wonderful, very amazing. Any questions should be directed to me at Twitter, but that will be... Try out the book, and then any questions, we'll answer them on Twitter. So see you next week, hopefully. And have a wonderful day.